Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on X at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X. A very warm welcome to, well, where are we today? Tuesday's edition of the DC Universe Daily, and we've got some headlines for you today. So there's been some rumours about the Batman 2. Now there's lots of curious rumours about the Batman 2. When is it going to be filmed? Is it going to be delayed? You know, it's very, very interesting, isn't it? I still don't think James Gunn really wants there to be a Batman 2 or a Joker Folie à Deux, but he doesn't really have much choice in the matter. Bat Super, hello, my friend. Long time no see or hear. Hello, how are you? Please tell me what you're thinking about DC. There's so much going on with DC. We have DC Universe. James Gunn is now, he started Superman. Principal photography on Superman has started. It's very excited. What type of film do you think it's going to be? Are you excited? What do you think of Snyder's interview last week, Snyder's podcast last week? That was nuts and insane. Bat Super, I'm doing great. And you, happy to see you. Happy to see you as well, my friend. You know, with all the arguments about what Snyder said last week as well, what was very, very interesting to me, and I was thinking about it while I was having a cigarette on my patio, is that actually Robert Pattinson's Batman and Ben Affleck's Batman have a similar type of journey in their films. John, hey Mick, hope you are well. John, great to hear from you. Give me your thoughts if you want. So basically, Robert Pattinson's Batman in the first film is vengeance. He's sending the wrong message. He's on a negative road. In BVS, Ben Affleck's Batman is on a negative road. He's branding people. Both Batmen, by the end of this movie, are inspired to become hopeful. So they both basically go through the same journey. So all these arguments about the Batman and BVS, they're very similar movies in a lot of ways. Ronnie Dodge, hey Mick. Hello, Ronnie. The Avengers Rising, kind of confusing with some of the rumours and news. Right, there is a lot of rumours out there for DC Universe and Superman, and yeah, lots of conflicting rumours. James Gunn doesn't go on Twitter anymore because he was, the vocal minority of Snyderverse fans just drove him off of Twitter. The vocal, not my friends, not the lovely people, the lovely people who post GIFs. I love the Snyderverse as well. But we must admit, like in all fan bases, there is a vocal minority that make the rest of us look bad. So they drove him off of X, so he's on Threads now. So if you haven't got a Threads, you should get a Threads. I've got a Threads as well, Movies TV Mad X, if you're interested. It's a bit of a graveyard, really. It's not like X, Twitter. It's not as exciting. It's not as fun. But if you are confused about Superman, DC Universe, why don't you ask me so I can clarify a few things for you? Because I am all over the place. I do see what's going on. I do understand what's going on. John, when do you think we'll see the Superman suit? I believe we'll see it just before they have to shoot on location. Now, I've heard they're going to be shooting on location from June and July in Ohio. So sometime just before that, I don't think they can't start shooting on location and not reveal the costume, because I think it's going to be leaked, something that James Gunn simply won't want. What do you think of what we've seen of the costume so far? Do you like the Kingdom Come? Don't necessarily think he's doing Kingdom Come just because he's given us the logo. Because to me, it seems like he's taking inspiration from different things, like having an Otis and Miss Tessmacher, but I'm not necessarily sure he's actually doing Kingdom Come. Bat Super, I agree with Snyder in that I think Batman is strong enough to handle being put in those situations. I think Batman can survive having to make the difficult choice. Listen, I love BVS. And I mean, if you don't like the fact that Batman's branding or killing, you can go and watch another Batman. That's the beauty of it. You don't actually have to watch something that offends you. It's okay if you're upset by that. I get it. In a way, Batman is the villain of Batman versus Superman. But just like in the Batman, both versions of this character realize they're on a bad course. the whole point is Snyder's not saying that it's good that Batman's branding. He's not saying it's good that Batman's killing. Batman has been, this vigilante for over 20 years. He's tired. He's lost Dick Grayson. Maybe he's lost others as well. There's no Bat family there. So he's bitter, he's twisted, he's seen this alien arrive, and he saw the Battle of Metropolis firsthand, and it affected him. And in a lot of ways, he's taking out all his frustrations from his own life out on Superman. But then Superman inspires him to become better. It's actually a beautiful story. But unfortunately, everything is a battle these days. And, so I don't actually, I love the Snyderverse. But don't forget, I grew up on Superman 78, which is a very different take. So you can love lots of different incarnations. Ronnie Dodge, I think it's a reverse Kingdom Come with the heroes maybe are a bit dark, but here comes Superman, who's giving these heroes hope and a new beginning. I really like the suit and the colours. Thank you for that, Ronnie. Boba Talks also thinks it's reverse Kingdom Come. And I mean, it's not that complicated. If all the heroes are dark and he inspires them, that's a very, very good idea. There's nothing more Superman than that. There's nothing more Superman than him sacrificing himself at the end of BVS and inspiring Batman. We will see. John, I hope we get the Batman 2 news soon. Would you like me to tell you some of these rumours if you don't know them? Because I've got them written down. It's really nice to be talking to you all, by the way. I will be doing a live daily show from now on. So where are we? Dinar guy. What's that? Diner guy. Why would Batman stop killing because of Superman if Superman also kills? Well, Superman only killed once, didn't he? In Man of Steel. Now, I think he did kill the guy at the beginning in the desert when he flies into him. But the whole point is, because he does try and kill Superman, but Superman inspires him by his sacrifice, he realizes that he's going on down the wrong road. Ronnie Dodge, thoughts on Wendell Pierce as Perry White? Yes, I like the casting. I like all the casting of Superman. The only thing I would say, there's no film stars in this movie. You think about Superman 78, Hackman, Brando, Glenn Ford, Man of Steel, Russell Crowe, Kevin Costner. There's no one really to tell kind of general audiences, wow, there's a big name in this film, you better go and see it. But I do like the casting, all of it, and I like the actors. So we'll see. Yeah, Wendell Pierce, obviously we know Perry in the comics is white. We know that in Man of Steel, Perry was again black, but he was played by a brilliant actor, so I was fine with it. Wendell Pierce is also a brilliant actor, and I think he's born to play Perry White. I actually think he'll be a great Perry. Bat Super, there's so much Batman media that people can easily choose to watch something instead of BVS. Well, people would much rather argue and become enemies over something they can't change. Listen, if you hate Zack Snyder, there's nothing you can do. He made 3 DC movies. That's never going to change. And now he's talking about wanting to make a Dark Knight Returns, which obviously isn't up to him anyway and is very, very unlikely. And in a way, he already did his Dark Knight Returns. But I would watch the hell out of Zack Snyder's Dark Knight Returns. We will see. So here are the rumours. So Joker is a kind of Hannibal Lecter kind of character in the Batman 2, apparently. These are just rumours taken with a pinch of salt. And he basically gives Batman information about crime. Now, Clayface in these rumours is supposed to be the villain. He's a serial killer, yawn, who takes people, the people he kills, he takes their faces, peels their skin off and uses their skin as a disguise. And there's supposed to be more action in this movie. Do you remember when everyone was moaning there wasn't enough action in Superman Returns and Singer promised more action? That movie never happened. Anyway, this movie is supposed to be happening. Matt has been writing this script forever. He was delayed by the writer's strike, of course. We will see what happens. Let me tell you what I think about these rumours. If these rumours are true, basically Clayface is a serial killer, like the Riddler. Boring. We've already had a serial killer, right? Joker was already a Hannibal Lecter character in the first film. This really doesn't excite me. This seems like a recycling of the first film. I'm going to give Matt the benefit of the doubt and say that these rumours are simply not true. Ronnie Dodge, I'm guessing Barry's back as Joker. Well, that's what the actor's been kind of hinting at. That's what the rumour says. but we just don't know if these rumours are true. Diner Guy, sounds like Clayface is a mix of, what's that? Sorry, mate. You know what? I've got a bloody heart in the way here. I don't know how to get rid of it, and I'm not seeing people's comments. So, sounds like Clayface is a mix of, I don't know what that says, and classic Clayface. Listen, look, I'm not a comic book reader. My knowledge of DC and comics is through live action media. I do apologise for that. Right, there we go. Yeah, Hush. Yeah, I thought you said Hush. That's it, Hush. Yeah, sorry about that. There's a bloody heart in the way, and I can't read people's messages sometimes, and I can't get rid of it. Bloody hell, YouTube, get rid of it. I don't need hearts. I'm not monetized. It's okay. Anyway, yeah, Hush. So thanks for that, Diner Guy. I mean, I'm assuming that Clayface is a serial killer in the comics, is he? But we've just had a serial killer. I mean, I think Clayface is a very difficult character to perfect from what I know of the character, and he wants to keep things grounded as well, which is another problem. Have you seen the Crow remake pictures? Yes, John, I hate them. And I wasn't going to see this remake, whatever the pictures look like anyway. You know, Brandon Lee literally sacrificed his life to make an epic movie. I mean, the Crow, the original Crow, is amazing. I have no intention of watching this cluster F-U-C-K. Ronnie Dodge, I do love they filmed the fortress scenes in Norway for Superman. Do you know what, Ronnie? I don't think there was actually a fortress there. I think they were exterior scenes. Maybe there was an outside of the fortress. I am fascinated to see what James Gunn's Fortress of Solitude is going to look like. Holman Skinner, the Riddler was not a serial killer. No. He was a terrorist. No, he was a serial killer. He was murdering people. Yeah, he did terrorist stuff at the end, but he was killing people. He was killing rich white people. Let's not forget that Batman has a lot of white racism in it. That's not a controversial statement. Bat Super, I wonder how they're going to test Batman's newfound hope in the sequel. I feel like the Batman 2 might go even darker. Yeah, it's interesting what kind of direction we're getting the Penguin. So I'm really looking forward to the Penguin. Unfortunately, it's on Max. I don't have access to Max, so I'm going to have to wait. This is what I was talking about in my old video yesterday, that I'm frustrated because Zaslav and the studio want things to be on streaming. I mean, I think like Penguin should be a movie in cinemas. It shouldn't be on streaming. We should all be able to see it. It's not really good business. Streaming is the reason that the Marvels was a flop, because to understand what the Marvels was, you'd have to watch about 6 MCU D+ shows. So I think streaming's a problem. I like Creature Commandos would have been a great animated movie in the cinema. It's a Superman prequel. I'd love to go in the cinema and watch that instead of watching episodes. I can't watch Max, and I'm sure a lot of you, maybe not you here, but there's a lot of people who'll be watching this live, maybe re-watching it later and thinking, do you know what, Mick, that's true. We don't have access to Max. Diner Guy, I heard Max is becoming available in more regions this year. Well, here in Cyprus, I don't get Disney Plus, and ever since it launched, and I can't get Max. I could basically, the only platform I can legally watch over here is Netflix. Diner Guy, no, Scott Edwards. What's up, Mick? Hello, Scotty. How are you? It's been a long time. Happy to see you all. This is brilliant. Remember, any issues with the DC Universe that you want me to clarify for you, I'm happy to do so. I want to know how you're feeling. Are you excited about Superman? Are you concerned? Do you think it's a good idea to have a Miss Tessmacher and an Otis? Are you worried that Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor will be a bit of a comedy act? That's been a concern for me. Scott Edwards, what did you think of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? Well, I was disappointed. Well, listen, you know, I saw a test screening. The test screening was brilliant. I enjoyed it. The cut down theatrical release was terrible. Scott Edwards, what would you give it? I'm assuming you're saying compared to the Marvels. It's much better than the Marvels, but yeah, the Marvels just didn't do it for me at all. And as I say, to watch the Marvels, you really have to have knowledge of the D+ shows, which I did. I mean, I didn't finish Miss Marvel, for example, to be honest. So, yeah, no. I mean, Marvel's, let's be honest, Marvel is fucked. Marvel is screwed. It was the biggest franchise IP on the planet, and they ruined it. Empires are destroyed from within. How do you ruin something that's got Robert Downey Jr. in it and Samuel L. Jackson at their peak. Scott Edwards, I thought The Marvels was a solid film, but that's the problem, Scott. We need more than solid films. I feel sorry for this generation. I feel sorry for you guys. I grew up with Superman 78. I grew up with Batman 89, Batman 92. I grew up with, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I grew up with, Goodfellas. And you guys, and you're admitting it here, saying that's a solid film. That's not good enough, is it? We want more than solid movies, but all the good people have been driven out of the industry. They're all going bankrupt. Who's that? Boss Logic actually posted on X this morning and said he's very concerned about the industry. He's seeing things that are making him really uncomfortable. And David Ayer actually quote tweeted and said, there's going to be mergers, they're tightening their belts. It's very, very problematic. Scott Edwards, was Keaton's Batman involved in the final battle against Kordax in the test screening cut? No. Bat Super, I wish Disney didn't own Marvel. Well, at first, everyone celebrated this. Kevin Feige was doing a great job. Then they took over, and basically what was going on at first in phases 2 and 3, they were allowing him to do whatever he wanted. Then when phase 4 happened, they were going down this inclusive route, right? And it's good to be inclusive if the people you're including are talented and, making great movies, but that hasn't been the case. John, the best part of The Marvels was the post-credit scene. Well, if that's the best bit, if that's your best bit about the movie, that's a bit problematic, isn't it? Scott Edwards, will you still watch the upcoming MCU films? I'm interested in Fantastic Four. I mean, look, that's another point of discussion for us. What's going to make more money? Both being released next July. The Fantastic Four or Superman? I think this is very, very interesting. Pedro Pascal is a famous actor, Even they have put one famous guy in that film. We don't really have anyone famous in Superman. It doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It doesn't mean it's going to fail. But it does make it difficult to lure people in because Superman has been difficult to attract the youth in as well. Going to be interesting. Don't forget 4 DC EU movies last year flopped as well. So it's not exactly been plain sailing for DC or comic book movies in general. And we've got Joker Folie à Deux this year, and that's going to be going to the film festival, isn't it? Hopefully that's a really good film because that's the next DC film, and I'm excited about that as well. Scott Edwards, was Kordax better done in the test screening cut? There was more of him. There was more of everything. There was more of Black Manta. It was darker, and there was a very dark incident that they cut from the theatrical cut. That's super. I think Superman might outdo Fantastic Four if the marketing heavily mentions James Gunn and Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that's what they may try. But I think, James Gunn was telling people to watch Blue Beetle, telling people to watch the films last year, and it didn't make an ounce of difference. So I don't really think, I think people are going to have to see the posters, the trailers, and say, yeah, this looks like one hell of a movie. It's very difficult with Superman because Dick Donner did the best that anyone can do before CGI. It was amazing. When something that good's been done, it's really difficult to create another version. I mean, Man of Steel is a great Superman, a great contemporary modern day movie, made around 700 million. Not bad, but it wasn't for everyone. It was divisive, but at least they were original, and that's important. Be original. Dino Guy, Gunn better have some range in writing because Superman can't be anything like Peacemaker. No, this is the thing. It's going to be very interesting because if you look at the people who's brought in to make the movie, it's the same people he's always brought in. His costume designers. What's his name? The guy who does the music, right? John Murphy. So he's using the same person to do the music, to do the costumes. So it's not like anything dramatically is going to change with the people he's brought in. Yeah, composer. That was the word I was looking for, composer. So if he's bringing in the same people, how different is this movie going to be? That's an interesting point. You know me. I'm open to James Gunn. I think he's a good writer-director. Not the best ever, but a really good writer-director. I like his CBMs. I loved Peacemaker. I really did. I thought it got really dark in places, and I really enjoyed that element of it. But this is Superman. It's easy to make 3 Guardians of the Galaxy films. It's easy to make Peacemaker because, to be honest with you, no one has preconceived ideas about those characters. But everyone has preconceived ideas from the comics, from Smallville, from the Donna movie to the other 3 Christopher Reeve movies, Superman Returns. Everybody, Superman is like one of the biggest, most famous characters in the world. You know, that S shield is as famous as the Christian cross. And I remember when the Man of Steel costume was released and they wouldn't reveal whether he was wearing the red trunks or not. It was trending all over the world. Ronnie Dodge, I think with Superman, you have to get the balance right between the humor and the darkness of the movie. Well, yeah, look, people have got a certain... You see, with Superman, Ronnie, you can't mess about. With Superman, people know what they want. First of all, they want him to be hopeful. They don't want you to make him Batman. They don't want him ever so dark. He could be in a dark movie. Everyone else around him can be dark, but he has to be hopeful. That's the point. Now, it wasn't like Henry Cavill's Superman in MOS was dark, but in BVS, the situation around him was hopeless, and he became hopeless as well. And that pissed some people off. But when you ask Zack Snyder to make films, you know what you're going to get from Zack Snyder. And as Zack said himself, they should have brought someone else to make these films if they didn't want that, which is spot on if you ask me. James Gunn isn't suddenly going to become a brand new storyteller. James Gunn is James Gunn. We know what James Gunn is all about. Now, he was asked when he was first asked to do Superman, and he said Mike DeLuca asked him in 2022. I was under the impression that Walter Hamada asked him to do a Superman film when he was brought in after being fired from Disney, and then he said, no, I want to do the Suicide Squad. Because he told everyone. Ronnie Dodge, I think David will be a fantastic Superman. David Cornsweet, I haven't seen much of David, but I have YouTubed a lot of clips. He seems like a very good actor. He seems like he's going to be an excellent Clark Kent and an excellent Superman. Looking forward to see his performance. He's a very good actor. He's not famous. He's not well known, and that's very important with Superman. It's like what Dick Donner used to say: if you see Robert Redford in the tights, you're not gonna believe he's flying. And so it's important that David isn't well known. Nerds know him, but nobody else. The general audience don't know him, and that's important. We really don't know what type of Superman film this is. We know there's there's pre-existing DC characters in this film, and then there's the question of how different is it to DCEU. Past couple of days on Threads, James has been asked a lot of questions about canon. This is a problem to the general audience because general audiences don't want to be canon. It's what's canon. You know, if you're going to confuse people, people won't be interested. Scott Edwards, the NetQuest flashback scenes felt out of place and rushed. Yeah, I think they were reshoots. Dinah Guy, not a fan of Gunn's humour. Superman is not a jokester. No, but he can make people around him a jokester. Although, to be fair, in the Richard Donner film, Superman made a couple of jokes, and that's okay if they're funny, but he can't be over funny, and I agree with you. Gunn's humour is hit and miss. I'll be honest with you about Gunn's humour. James' humour can sometimes be spot on, and sometimes it's like being at a comedy club where you don't get any laughs. Ronnie Dodge, I'll be interested how the dynamic between David and Millie will be in the DCU. Yeah, Millie Alcock is a really, really good young actress. I don't think she's a fan of men. She has dirt talked men before, so I hope she can keep her gob shut, because that's a problem these days. They don't know when to shut that up. But yeah, a very good young actor. His castings, you can't challenge his castings. His castings have been very good. There's no question about that. He's putting good people in place. There's no question about that. But there's a lot of things that have got to work. Scott Edwards, Manta kills the baby. That's right, yeah. That is absolutely correct. Scott Edwards, I think Captain America, Brave New World will be good. Leader and Red, I don't know what that says, Red Hulk as the villains. Listen, I love the Leader. I've watched all the Hulk animated series. Hulk Agent of Smash. Who used to watch Hulk Agent of Smash? I used to love that every Saturday morning. So I know about these things. I love the Hulk. I mean, what Fake has done to Hulk is fucking disgusting. Clever Hulk is an effing joke. I mean, I'm a big Hulk fan. Even though I'm not a big Marvel man, I love the Hulk and I love Spidey and what he's done to those characters. I mean, Spidey, obviously, is not that bad. Spider-Man No Way Home was a much better film than I ever thought it would be. John, also Jurassic Park comes out July 2025. Yeah, that area is going to be very, very congested. Some people think Fantastic Four will move. I'm not too sure it will. And I think they may stay there. I don't think anything will move. I think if anything moves, it may have to be Superman. Because I think that think about this. Fantastic Four is a very popular comic property. People will be hungry to watch that. But there has been issues about making Superman relatable. Dino Guy, MCU Hulk is as bad as it gets. Yeah, everyone shat on Ang Lee's Hulk, but I love that film. I like the Incredible Hulk movie, but what Fake has done to the Hulk is nothing less than despicable. Ronnie Dodge, did you see the Michael and Nicholas Hulk podcast, the Lexes Together? I did. I enjoyed it. They didn't really talk much about Lex Luthor, but it was interesting. Look, I love Michael Rosenbaum. Michael Rosenbaum is the greatest Lex Luthor. It's a mystery to me why he's doing podcasts and not acting. I think something's gone wrong with Michael, personally, and that's sad. I don't really want to go into that too much, but it's sad that he's just doing podcasts. He's making money. It's a great idea. But I thought after he left Smallville, this guy was going to be winning, you know, a multitude of Oscars because his performance as Lex is that good. Scott Edwards, was Mira in the final battle in the test screening, cut like in the theatrical? Yep. Scott Edwards, who do you want to see out of the Avengers team for the next film? Well, I mean, I don't know, Scott, because I don't know who's available to them. I just think the MCU is in such a mess. And my belief was after Endgame, they should have started again. You know what they should have done after Endgame? They should have created basically, that should have been end of MCU, happily ever after. Then it's a new franchise with the X-Men and Fantastic Four together in a new franchise. They should have had a little break, buy Fox, then create that franchise. That's what they should have done. The MCU, that continuity, whatever I'm trying to say, shouldn't have continued. And they should have created a new franchise with X-Men and Fantastic Four. And that's my opinion on that. Scott Edwards, I think Secret Wars will reboot the MCU. John, any news on Doctor Who? Doctor Who returns in May. Look, if you follow me, you know I wasn't impressed with the specials. I'm mystified by Russell T Davies' attitude. It looks like the man hasn't got any more ideas and is trying to distract everyone with controversy. Ronnie Dodge, I wonder if we'll see any Superman characters in Peacemaker Season 2 and Waller. I would love to see Lex in Waller. Very interesting. I think Waller is going to be an interesting series. Again, that should be a movie, right? Because I can't see that straight away. I can't do reviews for you guys straight away. It's not fair. I can't get Max. Bat Super, I'm worried about the Batman. It feels like they are trying to delay as much as possible so they can decide which Batman they should bet their money on based on Superman's success. Yeah, I think, it's clear they've cast a Supergirl, but there's nothing going on with Brave and the Bold. I mean, Matt Reeves always takes his time with his scripts. That's normal. I think James Gunn has approached Matt and asked him if he can use Robert Pattinson as the DCU Batman, and it's clear that Reeves has said no. It's my belief that Gunn doesn't want any competing characters anywhere else, and DC Elseworlds is just the dumping ground. After Joker Folia do, probably won't see any more of Todd Phillips' universe unless it's utterly successful. And the same after the Batman tour, maybe after the Penguin, we won't see anything else. I think it's an interesting situation because there's no script for Brave there's no script for Brave and the Bold either. There's no casting. There's only a director, and so it's all very, very strange, isn't it? And I agree with you there. Scott Edwards, so nothing in the DCEU is carrying over into DCU. How does the Flash movie connect? The Flash movie only connects because Barry Allen goes back to save his mum's life, changes the timeline, and instead of the DCEU, you've got the DCU. But he's even said most of the stuff there's going to be, it's going to be made, there is going to be canon to it. It will change some things, a few things, like the recasts, and that's it. Look again, he keeps on saying different things. It's very confusing. Just imagine if you're a member of the general audience, how do you get your head around it? He should have just started again, but the problem was he wanted to continue Peacemaker, he wanted to do Peacemaker, he wanted to do some other things, and that's why he didn't start again. And it's problematic and it's confusing for normies. Diner Guy, Gunn seems to be the only one getting anything done in the DCU. Nothing else has updates. Yeah, because he's in charge. He's the creative arm. I also think he's going to write and direct The Authority. There are rumors that The Authority is actually Superman versus The Authority. If that's true, I would be very, very excited about that. John, who would you like to see cameo in Deadpool 3? Do you know what, John? This is going to be a very cameo-bait movie. And it's a shame. I just want to see a good original movie rather than seeing cameos. Tell me who you would like to see. Ronnie Dodge, James Gunn didn't hint we will get Lanterns news soon. Yes, he did. Lanterns is something else that should be released cinematically instead of streaming. It's ridiculous. But of course, that's not on James. He's been told you have to have streaming stuff as well. And that's annoying. Scott Edwards, so Ezra Miller's Flash is trapped in a dead-end timeline. Basically, Scott, yeah, well done. Bat Super, I wanted to believe that the Batman was safe because of Matt's first look deal with WB, but the Arkham series was supposed to be in the Batman before it turned into a DCU project. Yeah, he has got a first look deal, which means he can do anything, not just DC. And he's going to be a producer, I think, on Brave of the Bold. That's something James was saying as well. Again, there's so many conflicting things out there. We're just going to have to wait for official word. Everything. Basically, let me be clear about this. Superman has to be successful. James Gunn has to make his first $1 billion plus movie. And if it's not successful, look, 900 million will be great. They'll be happy with that. 800, 850, they'll be happy with that. But really, this has to be Spider-Man No Way Home money. They're looking for a big success here. And, you know, it isn't a foregone conclusion. It's not definitely going to be a failure. It's not definitely going to be a success like some people are saying. We simply don't know because we don't know what the film's going to be. Scott Edwards, did you see Superman and Lois season 3? I've only seen half of season 1, unfortunately, and I'm always trying to complete it and something gets in the way. But I do like Superman and Lois. 4th season, the final season comes out later this year. Scott Edwards, did you see the Marvels in theatres? Yes. Scott Edwards, thoughts on the Ray movie? Don't think it's going to happen. I think it's bullshit. I love Daisy Ridley. Daisy Ridley is this lovely person and a talented young actor, a solid young actor. She's not Greta Garbo. She's not Vivian Leigh or anything, or Jodie Foster, but she's a good young actor and nothing was going on for her. Of course, she's going to take this role. But the people, creatively, these people have no intention of making a great Star Wars film. That's very sad. Ronnie Dodger, I think Kate Herron is going to be the director of Woman of Tomorrow. She was the director of Loki season 1. Yes. And Ronnie, if that happens, you're going to see me go mad. Now, I know you don't like it when I get negative, but I'm sorry. Kate Herron isn't, just because she's a woman, it doesn't mean she should direct a female character. This is ridiculous. Loki season 1 wasn't, I mean, I didn't mind it, but Loki season 2 was a lot better. Scott Edwards, you like Florence Pugh? Oh, yes, of course. I respect her as an actress. No, yeah, I do like Florence Pugh. She's a very talented young actor. Dinah Guy, Hollywood is acting like Barbie was the biggest movie ever. But 2002 had 4 movies that made that kind of money in real terms. Well, previous years, before the entertainment apocalypse, you know, movies were making money. I'll tell you something else, Dinah Guy. I believe that movie didn't make anything close to $1 billion. I believe it only made about 500 million, and they lied about that box office. That's why they don't want to make a sequel. Because normally Hollywood jump. Even Joker, Todd had no plans for a sequel. He did want to do a Black Label universe, but he had no plans for a sequel. Joaquin Phoenix doesn't do sequels, and they came back. Why don't they want to make a Barbie sequel? It tells me that they didn't make the money they said. It's an extremist movie. It's a man-hating movie. And, you know, I'm not a fan. John, I would like to see Ben Affleck as Daredevil cameo in Deadpool 3. That would be fun. Scott Edwards, Thunderbolts has potential. Florence Pugh as the lead, with Florence Pugh as the lead. Yes, look, that's okay. But that's not going to attract audiences to the movie. I mean, what they got Deadbolts coming out next year or whatever. Look, I'll be honest with you, Scott. I'm lost with the MCU. I mean, I think the last film I bought was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Sadness. And that's the last time I actually was interested. I did try and watch Miss Marvel. I didn't get through it. It just wasn't for me. Ronnie Dodge, I'm so excited to see Rachel as Lois. I'm going bold. She could be the best since Kidder. Well, Rachel Brosnahan, of course, was in the fantastic Mrs. Maisel, which was a fantastic show. So she's a very good actor. There's no question about that. She'll be a great Lois Lane. It'll be interesting what kind of Lois she will be. I think most versions of Lois have been inspired by Margot Kidder's performance. Erica Durant, Terry Hatcher, not Amy Adams. Amy Adams kind of did her own thing because she was kind of involved with the actual missions and adventures with Henry Cavill. She was at the end of BVS, and in MOS she played a big part as well. But the other versions of Lois, since Margot Kidder, have been very inspired. If you watch those performances, very, very inspired by Margot. Margot Kidder set who Lois Lane was in the modern era. Very dismissive of Clark, very, Superman, that kind of thing. Dino Guy, do you think there's a chance Raimi will make his Spider-Man 4? There's rumours, Dino Guy, that he said there's a chance. Now, I haven't heard him say it, so I don't believe it until I hear it come out of his mouth, and I take that with a pinch of salt. I think that studios are in deep shit. We saw what happened with Madam Web. These studios need money. They're merging. We mentioned that earlier. So, yes, they are willing to do a Spider-Man 4. Tobey Maguire is my favourite Spider-Man. I would love to see that. I would love to see that, but only if Sam, unlike Spider-Man 3, is allowed to make his own movie. Otherwise, what's the point? Now, hang on, Ronnie Dodge, excited we are actually getting a Jimmy Olsen who's alive and the stuff. I've seen Skylar in He's Funny. Is he any good, Skylar? He looks young. He looks perfect. I'm happy we're finally getting a proper Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen is our way into the story. Everyday young boy, just left school, works for the most famous newspaper in the world and becomes Superman's best pal. To me, that's brilliant. That's beautiful. And if James does it in the right way, it can really, really work. Agree with you there, Ronnie. There's something else we haven't spoken about yet. That's in the title. Michael Keaton was on the Happy Confused podcast with Josh Horowitz. He said he's seen portions of Batgirl. I can tell you that Batgirl actually isn't the bad film that everyone thinks it is. And basically, it's a Batman Beyond, but with Batgirl instead of the Roy character. And he said he's open to returning as Batman. My opinion is he should only return with Tim Burton, who he's just reunited with on Beetlejuice 2. If he comes back with Tim, I'll be hyped. But we saw what happened with The Flash. Yes, he was great. But, and plus he's a very old man now. What is he, 70, 80? It's difficult, isn't it? The Dino Guy, Skylar is nearly David's age. Makes their friendship a bit more believable. Dino Guy, but that's the whole point. So that's but he looks younger. He doesn't look, he may be the same age, but he doesn't look the same age as him. But the whole idea in the comics is that this is a school leaver. He's just joined the most famous paper in the world, which I think is cool. And he becomes Superman's best pal. And that's what I liked about it. But he looks young enough, and that's cool. So I never found that unbelievable. But yeah, if you're happy about that, that's good. Scott Edwards, I think there's another villain besides Lex. There has to be. But we do know there's a war somewhere. It was going to be in the Middle East, but they changed it because of what's going on in Palestine right now. But there is a war that Superman kind of maybe gets involved with, doesn't know if he should. So I think that might actually be the actual villain of the movie. Who knows if we actually get a real villain? I hope so, because people will be disappointed. We will see. Ronnie Dodge, the interaction with Michael Arnold and Danny was funny. Ronnie Dodge, the interaction with Michael Arnold. Oh, yes. Oh, at the Oscars. Yeah, that was fucking funny. Oh, I love that. That was brilliant. I'm going to be using that gift a lot. You lot need to follow me on X, because I do have a good laugh on X, and we can have a good laugh together. Right. Ronnie Dodge at the Oscars. Scott Edwards, I'm hoping for Parasite or Metallo. Yeah, I mean, you know that I wrote a script for Metallo being a villain in a Superman movie. John, thoughts on WB not releasing the Looney Tunes movie? Well, these companies are debt-ridden, John. I don't agree with it. It's disgusting. But they're going to give it, he will give you a tax write-off once a year because he's got no choice. He's a fixer. That's why he's at Warner Brothers, to fix it. AT&T and Time Warner fucked Warner Brothers good and proper. AT&T, a cable and wireless company, didn't have a clue. They didn't even know what to do with HBO Max. They had nothing to launch HBO Max, so they threw 70 million at Zack Snyder. You can never really get that back on streaming. It ain't like you're selling cinema tickets or anything. So insane. But these tax write-offs have to happen, I'm afraid. But apparently, according to one of the producers, there's still a chance we'll see it. I hope it goes on Netflix, the only streaming service that's available to me. Ronnie Dodge, Brainiac or Mongol for Superman villain would be good. Well, funny you should mention Mongol, who I tried to do some research on, and I couldn't find much information on. Apparently, he may actually be in the Superman movie. Brainiac is something we nearly got in the Superman Returns sequel, Superman Man of Steel, where he actually disguises himself as Jason, Superman's son, and Superman murders him by mistake. Not murders him, but kills him by accident because he thinks he's fighting Brainiac. Now, that would have been awesome. I actually enjoyed Superman Returns. Where are we? Scott Edwards, what made you check out the Marvels in theatres? Well, I'm a nerd, aren't I? I'm a nerd. I don't listen. Normally, I'd say I'm not going to bother. But even people like Nerd Roddick and these people who hate Disney, they go and watch it to hate watch. I just went to see, I had some spare time. I'm a nerd at the end of the day. I used to love watching MCU movies. I love Phase 1. Phase 1 is my favourite phase. Phase 1 is the best as far as I'm concerned because they made proper movies. And they were still creating a franchise that continued, but they were proper movies. And you had Robert Downey Jr., man. I mean, look at him now. About time he won an Oscar. Well done, Rob. Really happy for you as well. Lovely guy. He's been through so much shit in his life. And, we shouldn't judge people for being addicts. Being an addict is an illness. He didn't do it on purpose. Anyway. Scott Edwards, exactly. Give every MCU project a chance. Diner Guy, where do you think we'll see Blue Beetle? Well, Blue Beetle, Teen Titans. Well, I don't think we'll ever get another Blue Beetle movie. I mean, look, no one's going to go and see a Blue Beetle movie. Not enough people. So he's going to turn up somewhere. He could be a member of Teen Titans. You may even, who knows? You may even see him in Superman. And then there's the question of the Flash. I mean, because that movie bombed as well. Now, I don't imagine. It's funny. He's not talking about Ezra Miller. He won't answer questions on Ezra Miller. Jason Momoa, who was rumored to be, what's his name, that other character. We haven't heard anything about that as well. So it's interesting. And Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot's just given birth. Congratulations to her. But will we ever see her as Wonder Woman again? There's so many things up in the air, and it's all very suspicious. Lobo, thank you, Ronnie. Scott Edwards, do you think the Justice League is already established in DC Universe? Not entirely. I think there's a semblance of metahuman powers, as James Gunn has put it, because he said he's got his, Clark's got his friends, Superman's got his metahuman friends. They may not be a proper Justice League yet, but I think a bit like Smallville, where they're just starting to set something up, maybe. Jason Momoa and Lobo. I think he's still going to be Lobo, I hope. And I think that announcement will have to come very soon. Ronnie Dodge, I think the JSA is already together, maybe in Superman, Justice Society of America. Maybe. Because they were setting that up with Black Adam, weren't they? Diner Guy, I think Gunn has been convinced to make more of a hard reboot instead of soft. It's interesting because the other day on Threads, he said something one day about, he said the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker 1 isn't canon. Then he was asked again the next day, he goes, well, there's just a few changes. Like Snyder's Justice League was in Peacemaker 1. That obviously isn't canon anymore. So again, Diner Guy, it's confusing. But hopefully when we see Creature Commandos, when we see Waller, and when we see Superman, it's straightforward. Because as I say, a general audience doesn't want to do the thinking, right? I hear people thinking they know the general audience. General audiences are lazy. Quite right too. They go with their girlfriends there, their kids, their mums and dads, whatever, and they want to sit there and enjoy, like we all did with Superman 78. Think about Superman 78. This was the problem with Superman Returns. You had to do too much mental gymnastics to actually work Superman Returns out, right? But with Superman 78, you went there, you watched the movie, there was nothing to work out whether it was canon or not. You know, the girl opens up the comic, it comes to life, and you watch it, and it's beautiful, and it inspires you, and it empowers you, and you're surprised that, you know, Dick and the team were able to give us those amazing effects that have aged so well. Scott Edwards, do you like Sam's new suit or old suit better? The old suit. Ronnie Dodge, James also hinted yesterday that the cape won't be short. Well, actually, I think he also joked you don't want him to be treading on it. And to be honest, Henry Cavill was almost treading on that cape in Man of Steel. In fact, you can see the sand on some of it, can't you? Scott Edwards, did the test screening ending of Lost Kingdom involve an earthquake? And no. John, when do you think we will get any DCU Batman news? When do I think we'll get some DCU Batman? Well, not for a very, very long time. You know, I think we need clarification with the Batman 2. Matt's going to do a podcast very, very soon, in the next week or so, I think. So there'll be some clarification about the Batman then. But the DCU Batman, if the Batman 2 is actually happening, which I'm assuming it still is, I don't expect to hear anything about the DCU Batman until that film's released. That's how it's looking like to me. Dino Guy, I don't think Superman will require any prior knowledge. Well, yeah, you don't need it. You shouldn't need any prior knowledge because otherwise the box office will be affected. And, you know, at the end of the day, they've got to stop this. This is the problem with connected universes. And I said it at the beginning. You know, I said it yesterday. Now, Zaslav wants the success of the MCU, the early stages of the MCU. I don't think anyone ever gets that kind of success again, not even the MCU. I would have been more happy with just random movies instead. Scott Edwards, did the test screening ending of Lost Kingdom involve an earthquake? No. John, when do you think we will get any DCU Batman news? I've read that, haven't I? Scott Edwards, I like the dark blue tone for Brave New World. Ronnie Dodge, I do love James said Superman is a known hero in the beginning of the movie. Yeah, it's not an origin story. I'm a bit mixed on that. I know people don't want to see the origin story again, but I don't mind. But it's not going to be an origin story. There is going to be a Fortress of Solitude. Everything's going to be set up. It's never been done like that before. Obviously, Superman Returns also wasn't an origin story, but I enjoyed Man of Steel and I enjoyed the origin, and they did it really, really well. It's clear that James knows he can't top the Man of Steel origin story. He can't top what Dick Donner did. So he's just going to go in and avoid being compared to what's gone before. And I think that's probably for the best if he feels he's not capable of doing the origin story justice. Very interesting. Smallville was also a Superman prequel origin story as well, done very well. So he probably thinks he can't give anything new there. So he wants to start quickly. Ronnie Dodge, I do wonder who James has cast as Martha Kent. Well, there's no news on Martha Kent, Jor-El, or Pa Kent, Jonathan Kent either. So it's very, very interesting. I mean, he waited a long time to announce the composer, and I was hoping he was going to be John Williams. But it ended up just being his boy, John Murphy, who's a very good composer, by the way. We'll see what he does. Dino Guy, MCU oversaturated origin stories. I don't think that's what the problem was, by the way, because I think that Iron Man's origin story was fine. I think Captain America, I love Captain America, the First Avenger. I think they did his origin story really well. I don't think that was the problem. I don't think origin stories are your problem. You can either execute them well or you can't. Because when you're introducing a character, people need to know who they are, where they're from. Now, with Superman, mostly everyone knows that they're an alien. But again, normies won't. It's important to understand that. Normies won't know that Superman's from Krypton or that he grew up in Smallville. So that's interesting. I'm sure James will do it in a way that still explains where his origins are, hopefully. But I don't mind origin stories. I enjoy origin stories. I mean, as a kid watching Superman 78 and seeing him on Krypton, yes, I love the design of Krypton from Superman 78. People keep on doing it down. Well, they didn't have any computers, but they designed it as a crystal, and it was beautiful. But I love that origin story. Marlon Brando, for Christ's sake. Is there going to ever be a better actor who plays Jor-El? I don't think so. You know, So I like origin stories, but some people don't because they've been done to so many times. Scott Edwards, the original ending of the Marvels killed off Carol. Probably should have done that, but I don't think that she really wants to be involved anymore. They really have effed that poor girl up. Dinah Guy, the best stories are after the hero's origin. I'm going to wait to read that because the heart's in the way, and I want to make sure that I've read that properly so I can respond to it properly. Otherwise, that's where misunderstandings happen. And you know what, guys and girls? I don't think there's any girls in the chat, but I don't want beef. I just want to talk about what I'm passionate about, which is stories, movies, television, DC, sometimes Marvel, Doctor Who. And I want to be honest about my opinions, and I want you to be able to have discourse with me constructively. I don't want us to go to war because we disagree with stuff. This has been brilliant. I wasn't sure what I was going to get. Was anyone going to show up? Were people going to be calling me names? Because there's a lot of bullying going on the internet, and it's very, very sad. We should be able to use our opinions and say our opinions and disagree, but disagree constructively. Because I think this, I love this platform, and I loved when we used to do live videos, but some people spoil it because some people can't control themselves. Dinah Guy, the best stories are after the hero's origin. Yeah, you clearly don't like origins, and that's fine. That's fine. But I do like, because don't forget, Dinah Guy, you're probably a nerd like me. You know the origins, but cinema is about profits and money. So if you do a movie that skips all that and don't explain it properly, then the normies won't come in because they don't get it. So that's the thing. We know the origins. We're all right with skipping the origin, but you have to be able to explain it to the normies as well. Scott Edwards, you think Brie Larson is done or will finish out this MCU saga? I don't know. I think she's fed up. They made her say all that stuff against men in their 30s. Disney did that. She didn't just get up one morning. She slaughtered men. She's been attacked, and rightly so, because she said some really horrible things. But I don't think she did that from her own free will. They told her to do it. And this is the problem today. And they've really messed her up and her reputation. Not that she had a great reputation anyway, but it was better before she said those things. Anyway, where are we? Dinah Guy, Scott. Dinah Guy, The Incredibles, The Dark Knight, Batman, Spider-Man 2, all were past the origin. Yes, Dinah Guy, Spider-Man 2 had an origin story in the first movie. That's why they didn't need to have. That's why you didn't need to have an origin story in Spider-Man 2. So that works because we've already had, right. So The Incredibles had a kind of, it wasn't an origin, but we knew who they were and, what they were all about. So we had a first movie, The Dark Knight, we had Batman Begins. So, of course, there's sequels, but Superman isn't a sequel. And this is a new take. So, and there'll be people coming in who don't know Superman. And I think that's the thing. I think us nerds understand. We get it. But we're not really important. We're going to watch these movies whatever happens. You like Sam as a character, Scott Edwards? You like Sam as a character? He's all right. But I don't like the actor because he hates Man of Steel. Well, I don't hate him, but I don't like his take on Man of Steel. I mean, the first Incredibles, yeah, that wasn't really an origin story, but you kind of understood their past, right? He was a hero. They were a hero. They had to stop being heroes. So it's not a proper origin story, but you kind of get a basis, right? But as I say, the Incredibles are not pre-existing characters, so it's less important. Superman is kind of important that he's from Krypton. And I'm sure James will do his due diligence to make sure that we know he's from another planet, So that's cool, that's fine. But I don't hate origin stories. I enjoy them. I enjoy the background. I like knowing the background. But I'm a writer. I like doing those things. It's not for everyone. And I'm fine. Listen, I'm fine that he's not doing an origin story. I don't think he could do one justice because they've been done so well. I think the Krypton in Man of Steel and the Smallville sequences were brilliant. The Smallville TV show is one of the best adaptations of the Superman myth, and Superman 78, they really, especially doing Krypton back then with no CGI, no computers. It was stunning. It was brilliant. You know what I love about Superman 78 when they send him to Earth? He's in space for quite a while, and you can see him jotting around the planet, Jor-El talking to him, something they kind of avoided in Man of Steel. Scott Edwards, Joker 2 might have Batman. Well, we know there was a young Bruce Wayne, but it all depends. Does it continue straight from the first Joker, or does it skip a few years? Interesting. Basically, to me, if he's in an asylum, it's pretty much going to continue. And I've heard rumours it continued from where it left off. That's what I heard, which means he won't be Batman because he'll still be a young boy. But we could still see Bruce Wayne in that film. And I don't think they'd let him have a Batman in that film, if I'm being perfectly honest. This is the problem. They don't want. This is why they're cancelling Superman and Lois. They don't want. And they don't want other Supermen. They just want their Superman. And I prefer them not to have any excuses. So that's cool. Dino Guy, doesn't sound like Gunn has a plan for Justice League movie. It's very difficult, isn't it, Dino Guy? When you've got a film like the Snyder Cut, which is a 4-hour movie, which is arty, which is exceptional as far as I'm concerned. I mean, everyone's going to be comparing it. This is the problem he has. I don't think it probably is important to have a Justice League movie. Will they have a Justice League? Will there be a proper Justice League? I'm not sure what he's planning. The interesting thing is he hasn't mentioned the Justice League at all. So people shouldn't really expect there to be a ready-made Justice League. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. We know there's Guy Gardner. We know there's a Hulk Girl. And we know there's a few others. But not a proper Justice League. And I don't know what he's planning with Justice League. He may not have a Justice League. So people should wait. But I don't think there's any plans for a Justice League movie. There's no plans because they don't know if Superman's going to work. Until they know how Superman's going to perform, or when they see how Superman performs, they can't make big plans. This was the problem with the DCEU. Man of Steel, they jumped right into BVS. And they didn't wait to see what happened with BVS and how people reacted. And they started making Justice League straight away. And that was ridiculous because it was so divisive, BVS, and they couldn't back out of Justice League because they'd invested so much money. The way Gunn's doing it here is much better. See what happens with Superman before you do too much. Scott Edwards, thoughts on the Acolyte? Not interested, Scott, one little bit. I'm not interested in Disney Star Wars. Look, I don't want to attack people. If you're interested, great. I have 6 brilliant, beautiful Star Wars movies by the creator of Star Wars, George Lucas. I like Clone Wars. I like a couple of the animated series, and that's that. I think the future for Star Wars, if it was up to me, I would bring the guy who did the other series, that grittier series. What's it called? Andor. That guy, and he's the fixer who fixed the other one. What was the one? You know, I forgot what it's called. Anyway, this guy, the guy who did Andor, I think he should run Disney Star Wars because he knows what he's doing. Kathleen Kennedy is a big problem. You know, I'm not interested at all. John, why did they not have Wonder Woman or Batman in Smallville? Yeah, I think DC were very, very strict. Let me tell you something about that. They didn't want Lois Lane in the first few seasons of Smallville. That's why Alan Miles created Chloe. Chloe was literally Lois. Everything about Chloe was Lois Lane, but her name. And then once they introduced her, they did. But yeah, so they didn't want Batman in Smallville, you know, because there were films going on, there were plans. It's very difficult because, again, like DCU, they don't want conflicting, comparing versions of this character. So that's why I don't think we really lost anything by not having those characters there. We had so many DC characters. We had Impulse instead of the Flash because DC wouldn't allow the Flash to be in there. But Impulse is just as good a character. So yeah, we had Aquaman. We had so many DC appearances. We had, you know, Hawkman. It was really, you know, we had so many DC characters. We even had Cyborg. I mean, I've lost count on all the characters that we had in Smallville. An amazing achievement, a pre-Superman show, a pre-Superman Justice League, a pre-Superman Lex Luthor, a Zod, you know, Doomsday. They did it all, didn't they? So what a great show. And I would put that in my Superman adaptations, live action Superman adaptations ranking as number 2 behind Superman 78, which is number 1. Then it would be Man of Steel. Then it would be Superman Returns. Then it would be Superman 2. Scott Edwards, will you watch the Mandalorian and Grogu film? There's something, I don't know, mate, because it just doesn't excite me. It just doesn't excite me. And again, I'm not sure if even they're going to happen. Dino Guy, did you know Alan Miles wrote a script for Spider-Man 2? The final version took some elements. Yes, that's right. If you watch the credits, I love Alan Miles. Alan Miles are great heroes of mine. It was very sad that they were forced off of Smallville by the CW, because the CW just wanted to keep on going with Smallville because they needed Smallville. They were a rating staff network. It was my opinion that Alan Miles should have stayed. I think Smallville needed 5 seasons. I think Smallville went on for too long. It's a shame the way the show ended. I'm not happy with the ending, by the way. I hate finales anyway. I hate final seasons and I hate endings anyway. But yeah, I did know that Dinah guy, but thanks for that. Yeah, these guys are geniuses. They really are good, and they're doing a great job on Wednesday, of course. But Smallville, the depth, people talk about the depth of what Snyder did with Superman. Well, Alan Miles were the pioneers of giving Superman, Clark Kent, and Lex Luthor this beautiful depth. It's brilliant. I have so much time for Smallville. When it was actually on for the first time, I used to wake up and think about Smallville. And I used to stop thinking about it when I went to bed and then think about it again when I woke up. Scott Edwards, have you seen the show Beauty and the Beast with Christine Krug? No. There's only one Beauty and the Beast, and it's with Ron Perlman and Linda Hamilton. That was a beautiful show. I love Christine. I really do, Christine. Great Lana Lang, great actress, great person, but yeah, that didn't interest me. Dinah Guy, Smallville should have ended and then led into Welling's Superman movie. Now, there's a few situations with Tom. We know that Tom really never used to want to wear the suit, but they did want him to play. Instead of Superman Returns, they wanted him to be Superman. But the CW or the WB at the time didn't want to end Smallville, and they didn't want to loan him out to them for him to be Superman. I don't know how many of you know that, and that's a shame. But what should have really happened, Dinah Guy, or whoever said that, we should have had 5 seasons of Smallville and 5 seasons of Metropolis, where that would have been perfect. But he would have been, for me, he looks exactly like Jeff East does in Superman 78. I think he works perfectly fine for a pre-Superman Clark Kent. Maybe he doesn't. I wouldn't mind seeing him as Superman, by the way. I'd wet myself with excitement, but he was cast to play young Clark Kent for sure. Scott Edwards, films are easier to digest than television. Well, I don't have problems with digestion. My only problem, my concentration levels go out the window when I'm bored and I'm not interested, and my intelligence being inside. But I love TV, I love watching TV. I'm 24, Smallville, Alias, Lost. Yes, they were hard to digest, but they were fun shows to watch. So I love movies and TV. That's why I'm movies TV mad. Dinah Guy, what do you think about Brett Ratner considering Welling for his Superman movie? Would have ended the show. Yes, this is very interesting. This is what I just spoke about, because what happened was Ratner was going to make a Superman film, but Singer was obsessed with making this love letter Superman film for Dick Donner. So Ratner came, which you obviously know, did X-Men 3, and then Singer came over. It probably would have been better for all of us if Ratner stayed on and actually gave us the Tom Welling Superman. And I think that would have been amazing. And Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor probably, and things like that. That would have been amazing. It would have ended the show, but we were around season 4 or 5 anyway. They told the story already. And I think that Smallville wasn't as good once Alan Miles. The final episode they ever wrote was Crusade, which was the season 4 premiere. Then they never wrote an episode again. They remained as showrunners to the end of season 7. So I would have been fine with that. That would have been exciting. And again, an opportunity missed with DC. Dinah Guy, Reeve chose Welling as his successor. Well, it was Rosetta, uplifting, emotional episode. Brilliant. Chris was brilliant. This guy can barely breathe and talk. He gives a brilliant performance. Alan Miles actually giving him a character and not some Stan Lee cameo was beautiful. It worked so well. Yeah, it was a passing of the torch. Brilliant. Tom Welling, we could all see how fresh he was as an actor and raw he was when he first came in, but he became better and better and better. And Tom, if you watch the podcast, Talkfield, fascinated with the technical aspects of directing and filmmaking. And when he was on Smallville, he was studying and he would stay behind. And I think Tom is great on Talkville as well. He really gets into it and talks about it, and I like that. Scott Edwards, who do you want to see as the villain in Fantastic Four? Well, Doctor Doom. but a good version of Doctor Doom. John, they wasted Tom Welling in Crisis on Infinite Earths. John, do not get me started on that, because I won't stop talking about it. What they did was disgusting. And Berlanti is obsessed with domesticating Superman, as we've seen in Superman and Lois. They put on the ring. He wasn't Superman. Now, Tom probably didn't want to wear the costume, but there was other ways around it. And if he's wearing the ring, explain to us why he doesn't want to be Superman anymore. Did something really bad happen? But horrible, wasted, awful. I hate it. It's not Smallville canon as far as I'm concerned. Dino Guy, I don't consider the Crisis cameo canon, nor do I, Dino Guy. Obviously, we're Smallville bros, yeah? I hate it. I hate it. If you're going to do that, as I say, explain. Did something horrible happen? Did someone die? Does he feel guilty? And I'm fine with it if you explain it, if you give it a little quick origin story. But that was wrong. And if Tom doesn't want to wear the costume, fine. Have him running around the farm doing chores like he used to do on the show, right? That's fine. He's still Superman, or he's in the Daily Planet with the glasses, right? They could have done so many things. And this is why I said, and I was so happy when Michael Rosenbaum said, I'm not doing it. They haven't told me what I'm doing. They haven't told me how much I'm getting paid. I applauded the lad. That means that Michael Rosenbaum has integrity. He knows how special his Lex Luthor is, and he didn't want to ruin that legacy. So well done for Michael Rosenbaum, who I know doesn't have a lot of time for people in the industry. Anyway, Scott Edwards, Mole Man. Never heard of him. Who's seen Superman and the Mole Man starring George Reeves? I watched that the other day, and I thought, fucking hell, this is amazing. I mean, obviously it's dated, but it's really, really cool. I thought George Reeves was a really good Superman, by the way. What a tragedy that he killed himself. Wow. It's been brilliant. It really has. I'm enjoying this. I could stay for a little bit longer if you've got anything else to say. We've got all the news out. There's nothing really going on. We're going to do this on a daily basis. We're going to do live. So what we're going to do is, on my X, on my Instagram and Threads and my Facebook, I'm going to post a DC Universe Daily Bite Size, about 3 or 4 minutes a day. Then I'll come live after that around, UK time, probably 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and we'll do a live like we're doing now. Maybe I'll post a bite size on here as well for people who are not going to be watching the live, so there is something pre-recorded for them as well. That's the plan going forward. We're on a big journey here, us DC fans. I mean, we've been disappointed since Green Lantern. We were going to get a Justice League movie many, many years ago, prior to Snyder. The Green Lantern movie was a disaster, although I did like the scenes in OR. I thought they were pretty cool, and I thought Sinestro was really good in that film. But yeah, disaster. We've been let down with DC so many times, and hopefully we finally get a DC we can be excited about. But who knows? We live in a really weird day and age, so we will see. I'm not sure. I really don't know if this is going to work or it's not going to work. People keep on saying it's definitely going to fail or it's definitely going to work. I won't say that. I don't know. Dino Guy, have you seen the recent DC animated movies like Crisis on Infinite Earths? I really want to see them, but I haven't actually bought them yet. I do want to see them, though. There's a third one coming out, isn't there? So, yes, I definitely want to see those, Dino Guy. What do you think of them? Did you like them? I mean, I think the animated universe recently has been a bit hit and miss, hasn't it? I mean, I love Bruce Timm. I did a video about Bruce Timm and my love for him. I mean, for me, he is the Kevin Feige of DC. He's done more than Kevin Feige. And isn't it strange that Dick Donner trained up Kevin Feige? And Dick Donner would have created a DC universe, cinematic universe, back then if they didn't fire him. What a tragedy. Basically, Dick Donner and Superman the movie are the pioneers of everything we see today. Dino Guy, I like part 1. Part 2 comes out in April. Oh, right. Yeah. So is there 3? I think they're going to make 3, isn't there? I think there's 3. I'm not sure. Eventually, I will check them out because I do like watching the animated movies. I mean, it's money as well, isn't it? There's so much. Scott Edwards, what was the ending of the test screening of... I can't remember. You know what? It was such a long time ago. I can't even remember. I think it didn't have a proper ending because it was only a test screening, don't forget. So we probably didn't actually see a proper ending. I can't remember that. A test screening isn't a finished movie. Don't forget. It's not a proper movie. People forget that. Oh, yes. Do you remember all the hype over The Flash? Everyone loved the test screening and everyone saw it at CinemaCon and it was the next thing since The Dark Knight. People really fell for that one, didn't they? So let's see. Let's not get carried away about Superman and DC Universe until we've tasted that meal. Once we've tasted the meal, then we have every right to give our opinions on it. Dino Guy, Bruce Timm is working on the Cape Crusader show now. That's right. Did you see the leaked images? I did see some images. Look, I'm very excited. J.J. Abrams, Matt Reeves, and Bruce Timm. That's a great team of people. So I'm hoping it's good, and that's going to be on Amazon, isn't it? And I can watch Amazon over here, which is good. But I have a big issue with this Max stuff, though, because we all don't get access to Max, and I think it's wrong, right? You've got this DC universe, and you're going to be putting stuff on it that everyone hasn't got access to. It simply isn't good enough. I'd rather you, for everyone internationally, giving it to Netflix or something, or Amazon, so we all are able to watch it. Because spoilers are a problem as well. If you're watching Creature Commandos and you're talking about it on X or something, right, and I see that post, not necessarily any of you, but anyone, right, it doesn't work, does it? Bruce Timm is a legend. Yeah, Bruce Timm is a legend. I mean, he must be in his mid-60s now at the very least. But yeah, he would have been my choice to run DC Studios. That's who I wanted to run DC Studios. But it was never going to happen, was it? Not sure about James Gunn. He's a good writer-director. We don't know what kind of job he's going to do. He's made some excellent CBMs. Peacemaker was great. We will have to wait and see. Film Goblin, why you don't like Aaron Fisher? I want to introduce you to a troll who disguises himself as different people and he tries to fixate on something to annoy me. And this is the whole idea. Listen, Aaron Fisher's got his own YouTube and his own X and everything. Why don't you go and kiss his backside and leave us alone? We're having a great time here talking about DC and we're not really interested in your games. Okay, thank you. I really enjoyed doing this, everyone. It's been brilliant. Hang on a minute. Yes, Arkham Asylum. There's someone obsessed with Aaron Fisher. Have you got a place for this person? I don't know who they really are, but when we find them, I think we need to admit them urgently to your asylum. They're not very well in the head, unfortunately. Yes. They've been stalking me for a long time, Arkham, and I think they do need some electroshock therapy. Yes, for sure. Yes. Thank you very much, Arkham. As soon as I find out who it is, I'll let you know. Thank you. Bye. Anyway, let's talk about DC. I've got another 15 minutes before I have to sign off. As I say, I've really enjoyed this. This is brilliant. This is what I want to do. I want to talk to fans, fellow fans, not fans of me, DC fans, movie fans, fans of story. Dino Guy, how accurate do you think Harley Quinn will be in Joker 2? I think she will be a unique version. I think I've heard she's an inmate in Joker Folie à Deux and she's not a psychiatrist. So that already means she's not going to be dealt with that accurately. But I don't believe that Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn, or even though she's a psychiatrist. She doesn't seem like she's ever been a psychiatrist. And I think in David Ayer's Suicide Squad, or the movie the pop music video company edited, I felt that's the best Harley Quinn we've had. I didn't think she was terrible in James Gunn's Suicide Squad, but I didn't think she was brilliant in that movie either. And Birds of Prey, I thought she was terrible. So I'm happy to see a new take. And if she isn't totally comic book accurate, that's fine. I think they're going to do the Harley and Joker love story here. And that's exciting. That's what we all want to see. I don't want to see Poison Ivy and Harley. And I certainly don't want to see that before I see Joker, a proper Harley and Joker relationship. So I'm very, very excited to see that film. And I think they're going to, Todd Phillips is going to do a fucked up, two insane maniacs falling in love. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. I see this as the next Black Label movie, which is probably more about Harley than Joker, but that's okay. But Jared Leto is definitely in this movie. They really believe in this movie. They're really going to enter it for all of your walls like they did the first movie. It's very exciting. We've got one DC film this year. Bring it on. We've got Superman Alive. It's very exciting. But Joker Folie à Deux is a film I've been thinking about for a long time. Nobody's really talking about it, but I think once we get the marketing, once we get that first trailer, and I think it was the same with the first Joker, everyone's going to be going nuts about this film. Hopefully, this should be a very, very successful movie. If everyone who makes the movie keeps their mouth shut about politics and real events, which is a real problem for people. Dino Guy, I want a Green Lantern movie after the show. It should be a space epic. Well, that's what we all want, Dino Guy. And really, if Lantern, right, for example, Lanterns could have been that thing. Instead of having a True Detective TV show on streaming because they need to fill the streaming space, right? Because James Gunn's been told you've got to have streaming stuff as well. That could have been a proper Lanterns movie, what we all want. But we're not getting that. And it's all because that they have to fill out streaming. Streaming isn't going to work for these people, right? They should stop it. Forget streaming shows. Just make DC movies. Film Goblin, fine. How about your thoughts on Zack saying the character should kill when they have no choice? Well, I think if anyone who's watched Batman versus Superman can see, Zack Snyder isn't saying it's good that Batman is branding people. He's not saying it's good that he's killing people. What he's saying is this is a very damaged man. He's psychologically, in the dirt, and he's very angry. And what he's doing is because he's lost all inspiration. And by the end of the film, he chooses hope. He's inspired by Superman's sacrifice. So I'm fine with what Zack said. And if anyone actually listened to what Zack said, he wasn't saying, yeah, Batman killing, it's fun. But people take things the wrong way. So I'm fine with what Zack said. I'm a big Zack Snyder fan, but ultimately I'm a bigger DC fan. He did a brilliant 3 films. I always treasure them. Dick Donner made a brilliant Superman film. Always treasure it. Burton made 2 brilliant films. Always treasure them. I'm not for one director. I'm for DC. And there's so many great versions of these DC characters in live action. So I'm fine with it. I'm not here for wars. I'm not here for arguments. I'm just here to say what I think about entertainment. And I'll always be straight with people. I'll always be honest about my faults. Just because someone doesn't agree with you, it doesn't mean it has to be a war. I know there's mentally unstable people out there who don't understand that, who probably sit in a room all day and, who unfortunately need help and can't get the help they need because it's not like a cold, is it? It's difficult. I get that. And sometimes they come on platforms like this and it's difficult. Film Goblin, we should have gotten a Brandon Routh Superman series or sequel. Yes, I said that for years. I would have loved it's not going to happen now with Singer. Singer's hiding in Israel, isn't he? But yeah, it was very sad. The idea for Superman Man of Steel, which was the sequel to Superman Returns, was Brainiac was going to turn up, disguise himself as Superman's son, Jason. Superman was going to kill his son by accident. It was going to be a real Wrath of Khan movie. We really did miss out. We've missed out so many times as DC fans, and it's a shame. Dino Guy, do you think Lois and Clark will be a couple at the beginning of the movie? I hope so, because I want to see them fall in love. Right. I hope not, because I want to see this is the problem with starting a kind of a year later after he arrives. We don't really know. We don't really know if they're together, if they're not together. I'm with you. I'd like to see the whole thing play out. Something tells me they may already slightly, I'm not sure. Maybe she may even know he's already Superman. I don't know. And another question, what kind of Clark Kent are we getting? Are we getting a Christopher Reeve type of Clark Kent? Are we getting a cooler one like Dean Cain? I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting. Dino Guy, do you think Lois and Clark will be... I've already read that. Film Goblin by Mark Guggenheim. Film Goblin, can't spell his last name. Yeah, Mark Guggenheim from Arrowverse has been discussing, apparently, with Brandon Routh, ideas. They've been swapping ideas for us for a Superman Returns kind of sequel or prequel or whatever. As I said ages ago when this video started, or some point in this video, they don't want any conflicting Superman. It's very unlikely that ever happens. And that's the problem with cinematic universes. It squashes your options. That's the problem. You can only have one Superman. You can only have one version of this and one version of that. Film Goblin, it'll be a Crisis sequel. Yeah, something like that. Listen, I don't think it's going to happen. Mate, because they don't. That's why, Superman and Lois is ending with season 4, because they don't want a conflicting Superman. They don't really want a competing Batman either. When Gunn came in, he wasn't saying, "Oh, hello, Matt Reeves, isn't it fun? 2 Batmen." Of course not. Film Goblin, where Brandon Routh has the Kingdom Come logo. Well, we've already got a Superman with a Kingdom Come logo now, so they're not going to do it twice. But just because David Superman has got the logo, it doesn't mean they're actually doing Kingdom Come, because he keeps on talking about inspirations. So all this could just be inspirations, could be just Easter eggs. So it'll be interesting to see what we get in this movie. He's been teasing a lot of stuff. Dino Guy, I'm not a huge fan of Superman and allows too much teen drama and villains of the week. Yeah, listen, I think it's a very good original idea. Greg Berlanti has definitely domesticated the character like he wanted to do. He's beta male Superman like he's always wanted to do. I don't think it's a bad show. I think it's a good show. I think it's interesting. I think the visual effects are stunning. I think it's okay. It's nothing wrong with something. But yeah, I'm not overly obsessed with it. I saw half of the first season. And I liked it, and I thought it was okay. It's not one of my favourite adaptations of the character, but a lot of people are now getting into Superman because of it. But it's it's not Smallville. It's not as huge as that. It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be interpretation that lives with people for a very long time. But it's been okay at the very least. And it's ending. Yes, it's ending with series 4, and I think the fans of that show hopefully get satisfied. It's a shame, but once James Gunn came in, everything was going to change, and we'll see if he does any better. Dino Guy, I also don't care for My Adventures with Superman cartoon. No, I haven't watched that. Lois Lane has got a lesbian haircut, and they're doing it on purpose, by the way. The people making that show are obviously all left extremists, so I'm not interested in that show either. I know exactly what they're trying to do with that show, and I'm simply not interested. And, this is what you're going to get from me, honesty. When I see Superman, I'm going to be honest about it. I want to see a great DC universe, but if it's all shit, I'm going to tell you it's shit. No matter what I think of past incarnations, right? I will tell you the truth. Film Goblin, but happens when Gunn's Superman doesn't perform well at the box office. Well, we don't know. Well, it's quite simple, Film Goblin. If it doesn't perform, that's it. It's over. That film loses money because, WB and all these other studios can't afford to lose money. This is a big gamble for them. This is, if you don't, they're banking everything on this film and this universe. I said from the beginning, a cinematic universe wasn't a very, very good idea. I've been speaking for so long, it's actually dark now. And I didn't even notice. That's sweet. I like that. I think that's brilliant. But yeah, if it fails, it fails. That's it. That's the end of James Gunn. That's what's going to happen. And if it succeeds, it paves the way for a lot of stuff. It's going to be interesting. This could actually break WB. Make or break WB. It's that big. This has to succeed. There can be no excuses this time. This has to succeed. Now, Guardians 3 made a hell of a lot of money and not far under $1 billion, but he's never made $1 billion movie. Neither has Snyder, by the way. But it's going to be interesting. Dino Guy, I think Superman needs to make $1 billion. Well, yes, $1 billion looks, they need to make as much money as possible. First of all, Man of Steel made just under 700 million. So it has to clear that. If it doesn't even clear what Man of Steel made, it's a disaster. It has to make, I think the kind of money it needs to make to keep on going, it needs to make around 750. I think if it makes 750, or anything above 750, it will be fine. People will argue that that's not enough, but I think 750 and above is fine. But obviously, $1 billion would be very welcome. Film Goblin, I wish to see Zack Snyder's adaptation of Doomsday Clock and not Dark Knight Returns. Well, Zack wants to do Dark Knight Returns. If you don't want him to do that, good news is I don't think Zack's got a hope in hell of doing that unless he's photographed David Zaslav having sex with horses or something. I don't think he's got a chance of actually getting that. I would love to see anything Zack Snyder does with anything. Looking forward to Rebel Moon 2. I don't think Rebel Moon is perfect. I don't think the sun shines out of Zack Snyder's backside or any director's backside. But I do like Zack Snyder, and I like his enthusiasm. I like that he's a fan of all these mythologies and stuff and the hero's journey. So I like the way Zack works. And I know a lot of people don't like. I mean, I don't understand the hate for Snyder. It's a mystery to me. Film Goblin. Rebel Moon will be 6 hours. There's a director's cut. Is there 2 director's cut? Are they both going to be 6 hours or 3 hours each? I'm confused. But yeah, looking forward to that. I'm going to have to make some time to watch that as well. So very excited. I love Zack Snyder. Listen, we're not really at a time when we're spoilt with great creatives. We don't have any film stars anymore. Although Sydney Sweeney, eh? Oh my God. The thing is with Sydney Sweeney, though, although we should be talking about DC, I don't think she's a beautiful, stunning woman. Not that I'm an oil painting or anything. I just think she's very revealing. That's the only thing I think that why she gets attention. But yeah, baby. Anyway, back to DC. Film Goblin. People hate Zack because he's a rebel himself. Yes, he's different and he's not willing to be mainstream, and people hate that. People want him to be a certain way. It's a shame. You still shouldn't hate the man. I don't get it. I don't really understand. Look, I don't understand hate for anyone, really. I mean, there's people I don't particularly like in the world, but I don't want anything bad to happen to them. But we live in a world of division, and it's a shame. And because basically we live on social media and one opinion is somebody's opposing opinion and everyone wants to go to war, and it's a shame. I don't want to be like that. I think Guy's Best Superman... what was that? Guy's Best Superman World was the Krypton show. Now, the Krypton show, now he conceived that show, but he didn't work on it afterwards. That show went through so many changes. I did like Krypton. I liked the first season, then the second season became a bit lighter and not as dark and not as interesting. But I did like Krypton. Film Goblin, I just don't think Gunn's DCU movies with obscure characters is the right way. That's Gunn. That's Gunn. That's the way he works. He likes working with smaller characters. He's been told he has to make a Superman film. And that's why he's working on Superman. I don't think that will be his first choice. But it's going to be interesting because listen to me, there's going to be nowhere to hide. There's hype around this. People have expectations of everything. And there's huge expectations. And it's interesting. I wonder what it was like back in 77 when people were building up to Superman 78. If there was huge expectations. I bet there was. But the only things people could compare it to were George Reeves, of course, and the Fleischer cartoons. But I'm sure even without social media, people were very excited to see. And there wasn't huge trailers or big posters back then. I think they had one trailer in like clouds or something with some music. But a Film Goblin. Krypton was great. I really enjoyed Krypton. It's a shame we had all that controversy that, because they wanted the guy, whatever he was called, to be black. And again, we live in this world, don't we? Because there's loads of versions of black versions of Superman and his family. There's two versions of Superman being black. So you don't have to make Clark Kent or that lineage of family black, but they're obsessed, and it's a shame. I want diversity, but let's do it properly. Let's stop dividing people. Let's stop gaslighting people. Scott Edwards, Zod has been overdone. Yeah, well, listen, he's a great character. I wasn't sure about Zod when I heard he was going to be Man of Steel, but Michael played him so uniquely. And so, he wasn't really a villain. He was someone with a point of view, and I love that. Dino Guy, I want to see a comic-accurate Fortress of Solitude with alien zoo, parent statue, still diary, and trophies. Well, do you know what? Dick Donner, to be fair, didn't have the technology. He didn't have the funds to make that kind of film. He brought in John Barry, a brilliant designer who did Star Wars. I think making it look like a crystal back then was beautiful, and it worked. But Dino Guy, I agree with you. That would be great. James Gunn can do that. This is what I mean. It's up to him. He can do that because he has got the funding. He has got the technology. He has got, I'm not sure how much they're spending on this movie. Maybe it's not as big a budget as we think it is. I think who knows? Who knows? Because they don't have the money, do they? But I think once we see the film or the trailer or anything, I think we'll kind of get a good idea how much money they've actually spent. You don't have to spend a lot of money on a film to make it good. If you're technically able, you can make a film look good on a lesser budget. We see all the time, so we'll see. Smallville didn't have a big budget, but it looked amazing. Dino Guy, also strange that so many characters seem to be at the Fortress of Solitude. Yeah, I had an argument with that DCU updates on X the other day because they're shills. Everything they're not balanced in their opinions. And I said it's the Fortress of Solitude, and he's got Miss Tessmarker there. He's got I think the mechanic or whatever she's called there, because I think she gets injured, right? And that's the whole idea, because she's part of the Authority, I think. And I think that's the connection there. But yeah, even Lex Luthor may be there. Like, that's never happened before, right? but we will see. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see Superman being alone in this movie. I think he's either with like Jimmy Olsen or Lois Lane or Perry White, or he's with his metahuman powers. James Gunn likes groups. It's a bit like Arrowverse. They're obsessed with teams and groups. So I don't think you're going to ever see Superman on his own. That's the difference. I grew up with seeing Superman on his own, like in the Superman movie, Superman 78, and I think that's great because he is a lone wolf sometimes, and that's okay. But I don't think that's what you're going to see in this film. I'm okay with it. I can get over it. It's not a deal breaker. Scott Edwards, what did you think of the villain in the Marvels? Film Goblin, did you see the vid of Zach at the shooting range? No, I didn't. What was he doing? Hopefully he was only shooting targets and no live people. But I didn't see that, no. This has been a really good video. I mean, we don't get many views on this, but it's cool. It's good. We've had a flowing conversation about nerdy stuff, about DC, about the future. We're going to be doing this every day and reacting to daily news as well. You know, and that's the actual point of this. So we can react to the news as it happens, come live. And I'm kind of looking at this kind of time because this is when America wakes up. The thing is, the problem with America, the times are so weird. I'd have to wait 7, 8, 9 at night. I can't do that really. I mean, I could do, but it's not going to make much of a difference. So I think if we do it here and then I post them kind of a DCU bite size, which I do on my other platforms as well, I think that will work out, and I think everyone will get the service from this platform that they're looking for. Diner Guy, suit reveal for Man of Steel was so after filming started. Yeah. Now, if you remember rightly, that's when they were filming outside. Do you remember the Battle of Metropolis? No, the Battle of Smallville. So what they did was they had him by the safe, but they didn't reveal the shorts, did they? Do you remember that? That was very clever. So we didn't know whether he was wearing the trunks or not. Now, I don't mind if he's got trunks or not. I'm going to assume he is wearing trunks in this movie because I think that James is going to be very traditional with this version of Superman because he doesn't want to rock the boat. But some people actually don't want trunks, but I don't mind. So I think, as I say, they don't start filming on location with Superman, James Gunn's Superman, until about June or July. So I think around that time, we'll probably get a suit reveal. I'm not expecting one now because they don't need to worry. It won't leak now because they're obviously not filming on location until June or July, which means they're filming inside and they can keep that hidden. He don't want to reveal it yet, and that's clear. That's why he just revealed the insignia as a tease. So he's either going to reveal it just before they go on location, or he'll actually take a picture when they finish principal photography, which I thought might happen from the very beginning. So it's either one of those things. Obviously, Man of Steel did things a little bit differently as well. James Gunn's very different. He likes going on the internet. He likes interacting with people. Zack Snyder, even though like after he was on the Snyderverse, basically he was on Vero and all of that. It helped him help release the Snyder Cut. But, you know, Gunn likes it. Gunn likes talking to the public and he thinks it helps like publicity and things like that. So that's why he does that. So, yeah. It'd be very, very interesting when we see the costume. But I don't expect us to see the costume anytime soon. Dino Guy, I want the yellow S on the cape. You want the yellow S on the back of the cape? Is that what you mean? I wouldn't mind that. That would be cool. I mean, look, I'm pretty open. As long as there's a big S shield, I don't want it to be small like Superman Returns. I want the cape to be kind of long, but not dragging along the floor, but kind of long, good length. And I don't mind if there's trunks or not. So I'm pretty open to things. So I want to wait till I see. I won't know if I've liked this until I see it. That's the way it's going to work. And first, I wasn't sure about the Kingdom Come S. It's very different, but now I'm getting used to it. It's cool, and it'll be interesting to see if we actually get Kingdom Come, or if this is just an inspiration for Kingdom Come, and he's not actually doing Kingdom Come. Don't be surprised if all he's doing is inspirations from different TV, different movies, and different comics. So he may not actually be doing Kingdom Come just because he's got the Kingdom Come S shield. Is remember, because at the end of the day, this is still a youngish Superman in his 30s or late 20s. So, you know, Kingdom Come Superman is old. Diner Guy definitely needs red boots. Rebirth Comics had blue boots. Yeah, that's rare. I think we're getting the red boots. Red boots are the traditional boots. So I think we'll definitely get the. I'll be very surprised if we got blue boots. I think Christopher Reeve had red boots. I think all the live action ones had red boots, didn't they? I think. I can't remember, but I can't remember any live action Superman having blue boots. But that'll be interesting. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about that too much. I would expect, because I think this will be a traditional costume, but I do think the red trunks will be there, and I'm fine with that. Film Goblin, I would like to see blue boots. I thought you might. I'd listen. Again, these things are not deal breakers. The important thing for me is it's as traditional as possible, but it looks good. And the shape of it, one problem with Superman Returns, it shrunk all the hard work Brandon did. It made him look smaller. It made him look shorter. That was no good. I don't know what the thinking around that costume was. So it needs to be perfect for David, but it needs to look like a Superman costume. I'm confident we'll see a really, really brilliant Superman costume. And of course, the internet will break once that happens. But I am hyped for this film, and I hope it's a great film. Dino, why are they hiding David's physique? Well, yes, that's interesting, isn't it? They're not showing that, and they didn't want to show his hair when he was in that picture. He had one of those warmers on his head, didn't he? I think maybe they'd already started shooting in Norway by then, but not sure. I think they're hiding David. I think they're hiding. It's interesting, isn't it? I don't think this movie may not be what we think it is. I've always suspected that there may be more than one Superman in this movie because it was called Legacy before. And I think one of the reasons they've changed the title is to hide that fact, because lots of people were very suspicious about the Legacy. And I think that's why he suddenly changed the title. He said he changed it after the final draft, but you can't listen to everything James says. James, sometimes James is on the jazz, right? Sometimes James says things and then he says other things. And they all do, because they all change their minds as they're creating things. That's what creators do. But interesting. So, yes, they are hiding David a bit, and that is interesting. Probably because he's in the suit. I don't know. Dino Guy, David has fairly light hair. He should dye it black like Reeve. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I've seen pictures of him and his hair looks all right, but they probably will dye it. I wouldn't worry about it. I'm sure it'll be as dark as the other versions of Superman. I haven't seen a live action Superman, even Tom Welling, even Jeff East, who hasn't had, jet black hair. So I think, yeah, that will be the thing. I think they'll definitely do that. He'll be as comic book accurate as possible. I mean, even, Zack Snyder's Superman, who obviously took some liberties with the canon. As did Smallville, their hair was always dark black. So I think James Gunn, again, I'm not worried about that. I think when you see him in the costume, it will remind you of the comic book Superman. It will remind you of the Christopher Reeve Superman. And he does look, he looks like a typical Superman. He's got black hair. I don't know how tall he is. I mean, Tyler Hoechlin isn't that tall. I like a tall Superman. Christopher Reeve was very tall. Tom Welling was very tall. Even on the show, when he stood up against people, I mean, he looked tall. He looked like Superman without putting the costume on. And I think that's one of the great achievements of Smallville, that we had a guy who looked like Superman and he didn't have to wear the costume. And that was great. You put the red jacket on, blue T-shirt on, and you thought, bloody hell, that's Superman, without wearing the costume. That was his Superman costume in Smallville. I thought that was great. It's been great talking to you all. It really has. I've really, really enjoyed this. I'm not just saying it. I've got my reason just to say it, but I've really enjoyed this. Dino, what did you think of Al Pacino's Oscars era? Well, he's come out and he's clarified the situation. It was the producers and not him. I knew it was the producers. Those people just present and do as they're told. He wasn't going to admit anyone purposely, so no problem. But even if it was his mistake, I'm not going to cancel Al fucking Chino. I mean, the man's a fucking legend. Unless he's a murderer or he's killing kids or something, I'm not going to cancel the guy. So, yeah, I wasn't bothered by it. I mean, I hate awards season. I hate the Oscars. It's just a bunch of lovies giving each other awards and going, oh, yes, darling, and everyone gets into it. I'm really glad Emma Stone won. I don't know what all this thing with Lily is. Lily was playing a character in her comfort zone and Emma wasn't. Emma was proper acting. Her performance was the best and she deserved to win. But yeah, no problem with Al Pacino. Al Pacino's a legend. You know, Al Pacino was part of my childhood, as many actors were. I'm not going to cancel Al Pacino because of that. Why do I fucking even care? You know, as I say, he's not a criminal. Nice guy. Great actor, one of the greats. Why would I cancel him? He was actually great in Dick Tracy. He played the main villain in Dick Tracy. Don't know if anyone remembers that. He was amazing. What an actor he is. Done a guy. Will you play the DCU games? Yeah, if they're, I mean, obviously, listen, they have to be good. They have to be proper, you know. I mean, Injustice good. I mean, that's the level I want. If they're just shitty little games, I won't play them. But if they're Injustice 2 and things like that levels, yes, of course, I'll play them. Again, it's about money, isn't it? Because they want to make money. We've got to find the money from somewhere. But yeah, I'd like to play them. Dino Guy, Suicide Squad was choked. Well, this is where we are, Dino Guy. This is where we are. And it's very, very sad, isn't it? That everything's divisive, everything's political, everything's about this false diversity. The problem is with all these people in Hollywood, they've never met a woman outside of California. And it's important that you do. Because the women in California are not like women in the outside world. The women in California, you know, are just not real flipping people, you know. As far as I'm concerned, they're real people, but they're, how can I say this respectfully? They're all fucking nuts, right? So that's why they can't write women. That's why they can't really be diverse. And they're not really diverse and they're not that representative either. They only give people jobs, even the black people, even the diverse people that have got Hollywood DNA. That's not proper diversity. It's all bullshit anyway. But they've gaslit their own customers and everyone's walking away. And that's why the industry is in so much trouble. And, you know, it's crazy. There's a Red Sonja reboot and the actress playing Red Sonja is already criticizing the original fucking movie for having the male gaze and shit like that. They're mad. They're mad. They don't get it. And they gaslight the customer. Everyone goes away. This is what Brie Larson did when she insulted men. And her movie apparently made $1 billion, right? But yeah, Dino Guy, will we ever get a Superman game? Doubt it will have David as the voice. I don't understand this company. There should be Superman games. There should be lots of games. There should be a fucking Plastic Man game. There should be everything. But I don't understand this studio. They're fucking useless. When it's come to DC, they've always been useless, right? And it's a shame. It's a shame. I mean, at least they gave us Injustice and Injustice 2, which was great, but they've never built on that. I mean, some of the Arkham games were great as well, wasn't they? But I hope we get a Superman game, and I don't understand what the problem has been with that. I mean, James Gunn said that this was going to be a universe with games in it, and, you know, he said that then the games won't necessarily be accurate with the stories in the films. What's the point then? What are you actually doing? You said this was a universe with streaming, television, animation, films, and gaming, which is all going to connect. And now you're saying it's not going to connect. So we may not even get those games. You know, gaming is a very difficult science as well. So that's a very ambitious thing to do. And really, you need to walk before you can run, especially with games, because you won't be able to attach the games to films, which is a very good idea. They used to do it with James Bond, didn't they? There's a Living Daylights game, for example. But I think he should have kept his mouth shut about games, in my opinion. But yeah, you know, we don't know. We don't know what we're getting, what it's going to be like. I mean, Creature Commandos is something I'm thinking about. We're getting that this year. That will be interesting. Dino Guy, Gunn is probably making games about characters like Harkonnen. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's actually quite funny. I mean, who's going to fucking buy that? DCU updates will probably buy it, won't they? But yeah, I mean, he wouldn't do that. But yeah, that's actually quite funny because it's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? But we'll see. We'll see. Listen, this is an entertainment business. I always say this in my videos. The reason they own DCWB is to make money. They've owned DC for what, 6, 7 decades, many years, even before they made the first Superman movie in '78. They owned DC. And it was actually the Salkinds who had the idea to make that Superman movie. It wasn't even WB. It was a negative pickup deal. But the thing is, they've never really taken advantage in what they've got. They made great, and the DCAU was brilliant from the Batman animated series and the Superman. And Bruce Timm has got an amazing legacy there. but they've never taken advantage of what they've got in these characters. Bruce Timm should have been promoted to a live action guy many years ago, right? Dick Donner shouldn't have been fired after Superman the movie. He would have given us, he said it in his commentaries, in his movie commentaries with Tom Mankiewicz, who wrote both like the Donner cut and Superman the movie. You know, the plan was that Dick would have done Superman 2, and then Tom Mankiewicz would have written and directed Superman 3 and 4. And then maybe they would have given us a Supergirl and their own version of Batman. Sacking Dick Donner, the guy who actually trained Kevin Feige and Jeff Johns, insane. The man who gave us the best Superman film ever. Fucking insane. So whoever runs WB, whoever makes DC films, always ends up driving these brilliant people away. Because even though Zack Snyder didn't make DC top dollar, his films were stunning. His films were exciting. And everyone had an opinion on them. And when he left, they were losing money hand over fist. He actually brought in higher box offices than the rest of the movies did, apart from Aquaman, of course. And Joker did well, of course, because Todd Phillips, a proper director was making that film. But, it's been a mess. It's been a mess for many, many years, even before Snyder. People blame Snyder. Things weren't good before Snyder. They had Tim Burton, right? Tim Burton was willing to come back for a Batman 3. They fired him because he wasn't making films that could sell stuff in McDonald's, right? Merchandise, right? So they did to Tim Burton what they did to Zack Snyder. They did to Richard Donner what they did to Tim Burton and Zack Snyder. Not WB, but the Sorkinds. This is something that's been going on for many, many years, no matter who runs DC and WB, right? And they haven't taken advantage of these wonderful DC characters. Now, James Gunn has been given a beautiful opportunity. Let's hope he doesn't fuck it up. But we are in current day. So that's why I'm neither I'm neither a hater saying it's going to fail. I'm neither a shill saying it's definitely going to succeed. I don't trust this industry anymore. I think they're all fucking mad. They're all overtly political. And you just don't know what they're going to deliver. And hopefully this is a beautiful Superman movie that celebrates Superman. We know that Gunn will do what he wants to do. No one tells Gunn what to do. Nobody gives him notes. We know that. He's explained that before. I believe him. So he will do. Whether this is a good movie or a bad movie, the buck will stop with him because he's doing this. He wants to be hands-on. He decided at the end of the day, he was there at the auditions for Supergirl. He chose Millie. He made, him and the studio were there. So he's going to be there front and center. Creatively, it's his, right? He's the creative arm. The co-CEO, he's the creative arm. And Peter Safran is the business dude, right? The producer. It's a good partnership, right? One dude doing the business, one dude doing the creative stuff. So we'll see. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it for there. This has been brilliant. I could literally talk to you guys all fucking day. But I've got to get shaved and showered and all of that shit. Otherwise, I'd just stay here. It's been an absolutely brilliant edition of the DC Universe Daily. Please come again. If you didn't give a like, please smash a like. If you're if you're going back and you found this and you're re-watching it or something, give it a like, give it a share if you like me. And, comment and stuff like that. Dino Guy, see ya, had fun. Thank you, Dino Guy. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you. I love talking to nerds, especially nice people who just want to talk placidly, like we've done. It's been absolutely amazing. Thank you very much, everyone. You can follow me at X. Let's say that again. You can follow me on X at Movies TV Mad, Instagram and Threads at Movies TV Mad X as well. And my YouTube. So I will be back tomorrow with the DC Universe Daily Bite Size and a live show, hopefully reacting to loads of exciting news. Who knows? We may get a suit reveal. I doubt it, but we can only hope. Until then, see you again. Thank you, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure coming back and doing a live after such a long time. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Have a lovely evening or morning or wherever in the world, whatever time it is in the world. I hope you're having a good one and keep positive. And try, be happy. Don't argue with people online. Do what I do. If someone gets snarky about your opinion, get the last word in, just mute them. They'll never know. Move on. There's no point. Life's too short. Have a party. Drink some lager. Do what makes you happy. Life's too short. 51. I don't know how long I've got. Right? Why should I waste my life and waste my oxygen on negativity? I will see you tomorrow. Please have a lovely day.